Hello everyone, welcome to a gameplay and devlog and post-mortem video of Sea of Sea. So you can see that we had a great start here with this intro cutscene, and now we are in the water in our submarine, and the goal is to find the treasures. I'll try to spend some time in silent here so you can enjoy the atmosphere of the game, but really you should definitely play because it's a first person underwater, kind of like a psychological horror game if you are afraid of sea or the ocean or sharks or anyways water. So it does have like this vibes. It's a little bit confusing underwater, and this is on purpose, so you need to plan ahead, try to use your submarine instruments like the ground level, the depth level, the oxygen level, and the distance to the sharks to figure out the best strategy according to your surroundings to find the treasure. And we even have a compass here to indicate the treasures, because previously there was no compass and it was hard, very hard. So I decided to add it, and it was good for the game. This was made in precisely 20 hours, 19 minutes and 15 seconds for Ludum Dare 57, one of the biggest game jams in the world, and the theme here was depths. So I had to make a game, well, based on this theme, and I figured, well, you should really deep dive into the ocean to try to find a treasure, and that's the idea of the game, pretty much. And the reason why I know how many times exactly the game was made into is because this was made using Cave Engine, the engine that we make here at Uniday Studio and we use for our games. And this engine have a cool feature that shows you exactly the time that you spent working in your project and how many time you spent playing. In my case, it was almost 2 hours of this time playing, and the rest was developing it. So you can see it's pretty cool, especially for game jams. You kind of know exactly the timestamp that you spent in the game. The jam is actually 3 days long. So for me here, it starts 10 p.m. on Friday and it ends 10 p.m. on Monday. So I usually don't work on Friday because it's too late already. So I just see the theme and then I go to bed thinking about it. And the next day, Saturday, I usually work in a game. But of course, Saturday is Shabbat, so I don't usually work this day. Sometimes I make an exception, just like Ludum Dare, but it is never productive. It's always bad. So I think for the next one I should not work on Shabbat, but anyways, I had a terrible start on this Saturday for the jam. I tried a couple of different ideas. One of them is to drive a car off a hill to throw it in the giant pit and see how deep you can go. This was not very cool, not very fun, and it will require a lot of days of polishing to make it look good. So I ended up scrapping the idea and spending the rest of the Saturday thinking about what else I could think of for this jam. So it was hard to come up with this theme. And of course, a submarine game where you deep dive into the ocean is probably the first thing that comes to my mind, at least, when I think of depths, the theme of the jam. But I did not want to make a game like this because in my mind, well, everyone would do the exact same thing. To my surprise, the next day, when I wake up, I usually go, when I'm participating in Ludum Dare, I usually go to the feed of the jam and try to see what the other participants are doing. And to my surprise, no one was doing a submarine game. And I was like, what? Maybe this changed. Maybe right now everyone did indeed make a submarine game. But back then, well, it was different, so I decided, well, I'll give it a try and make a submarine. There's also another reason why I did not want to make a submarine game is Cave 1.2, the latest version of the game engine, had a lot of cool new updates regarding graphics, visual fidelity, and terrain system. So I really wanted to make an outdoors game using daylight and with a huge terrain, hence why in the first day I was trying to make like this vehicle driving game that you throw off a cliff, because, well, this will use very well the new features of the engine. So I was really trying to make a game like that, but, well, ultimately it didn't work, so I decided to go with this underwater world. I ended up using the terrain system for the base mesh of this this environment, but of course I had to rely a lot of on rocks, so I used Megascans from Quixel to make the rocks of the game. And this is why, by the way, if you go to my Ludum Dare page and if you participated in Ludum Dare, check it out. You cannot vote this game for graphics because I used existing graphics, and in Ludum Dare rules, if you didn't make the graphics during the period of the jam, so if you relied on existing assets, you cannot be rated on graphics. And since I used Quixel Megascans for the rocks, ended up not qualifying for graphics in this jam. Anyways, but I think it was still very nice. My focus here is ultimately to stress test Cave as much as possible, because of course I'm the developer of the engine, so it's very important for me to have it very good looking and very well stress test. And now that we are diving again, it's a great time to say that, interestingly enough, I recently learned how to dive, not exactly dive, but with this snorkel and the thing that you put in your feet. I don't know how it's called in English. I think it's flippers. In Portuguese, it's very funny. It's like duck feet, because your feet looks like a duck feet, so they call it like that. But that thing that you put in your feet to dive, and I learned that, and it was my very first time experience diving and seeing the underworld, like underwater. I never did that before, and it was crazy good. Like, we went to like some remote islands in the middle of the ocean to see the fishes and all the vegetation and all the rocks. So it was very good. I wanted, and then it was funny, this was like a week ago or something like that, and I was like, okay, now I must make a game about this. But then when the Ludum Dare arrived, I was like, no way I'll make an ocean game because of what I just did. So I tried as much as I could to avoid this, but it was inevitable. So maybe this was a sign from God to make a game about underwater. I don't know what this means. Anyways, in this game, we do not have corals or vegetation growing in the rocks. The reason being is that we are in a submarine, and as you can see, I wanted to have like this POV view of the submarine cockpit, and this will most of the time prevent you from seeing the ground. This is why we have an instrument in the game called ground level, because if you hit the ground you actually get damaged, so you need to measure the instrument. So since you cannot see the ground very close by, I decided to not invest any time at all adding vegetation and whatever. That would be a waste of time for the gen, of course, because we don't have a lot of time. Anyways, so it was definitely fun to see this, and man, I love diving right now. I want to do this again. I'm even looking forward to buy a good snorkel. Let me know in the comments if you have experience and if you want to advise me about that. Anyways, to finish this video, now that I died in the recordings, I wanted to show you a little bit of how the engine works behind the scene. Of course, just a minute for you to make sure that it was made in Cave. One of the cool features that this game have is an intro cutscene, and it is in the timeline system of the engine that you can use to animate stuff, add voice audios, scripts and all that. So it's very easy and very useful for games like that. It's very easy to play the animations. You can even play multiple cutscenes at the same time, which is great. Anyways, so I had a lot of fun making this game. Cave really made it much simpler. The Python scripting definitely helps, especially for a jam like that. So all of the jam was much easier to do. We can enable and disable the effects in Cave, so we can visualize, because of course the game itself is full of mist, so you can disable this in the editor to edit the map properly, and all the things that Cave offers to you really helps developing the game. And if you don't have Cave, it is currently on a launch discount because of version 1.2, and it is ending this week, so make sure you get the engine before it's too late. And also I'll leave the link for the game Ludum Dare page in the description, and the game itself for you to play if you want. It's a short game, but I definitely had a lot of fun playing it and making it. So thanks for watching, and I see you in the next video.